Why is it important to be nuanced, and how do we do that with all the information that we're bombarded with today?
Well, it's important because the world is nuanced, right? And the world is vastly more complicated and complex than our political theories allow. And so, one of the hallmarks of ideologies is to simplify reality. And whenever we have a narrative that is very simple or, simplistic, we can be sure that we're reducing some of the complexity of the world, and it's probably not going to be helpful for us. So that's one thing. The other thing, how do we develop a more nuanced perspective? Well, we do that through reading and observation. So there's plenty of books out there. Libraries still exist. I recommend people get a library card. There's lots of classic literature. Best genre is probably history. So much of what is happening today has happened before in past cultures, past civilizations. So it's very useful to have like a broad understanding of history to get a proper context for what's going on today.
But we naturally don't want to do that. We naturally want to, it's our instinct to be tribal and go to the extreme. And I suppose that is probably quite a big question, how to counteract that natural.
Go to the pub, go to the library.
So now say it to the camera.
Go to the pub, go to the library.
I suppose, are you worried about the sort of trajectory of the current culture and where we're going?
Yes and no. So I think the trend lines are pretty bad, and Jonathan Haidt is doing excellent work on this, and he's showing that since the advent of the phone, the iPhone, and since the phone became ubiquitous, all sorts of trend lines for young people have gotten really dire. So more and more young people are anxious and depressed, more can't find any meaning in life. Girls in particular, their mental health has fallen off a cliff. So this is since around 2009, when the iPhone basically became ubiquitous in society. So he's marshaled all of this evidence for the hypothesis that phones and social media apps on phones in particular have basically created a mental health epidemic, a poor mental health epidemic among the youth, not just of America, but of in Australia, in the UK. And he's leading a campaign to get rid of phones from childhood, protect childhood from phones basically, and phone addiction. So he wants to get phones out of schools. He wants it to become a norm for people to not get social media until they're about 16. And I think basically everything he says is a good idea. And as a parent of a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, I really hope that his ideas get traction and pick up so that my kids have a longer childhood without the interference of phones and social media. I really hope that, because as soon as they get phones and as soon as they get social media, I know I'm going to be in for it and their mental health is going to suffer. So I think once our societies become more aware of how much harm and damage these apps and this tech is actually doing to us, and young people in particular, there will be more focus on how to solve these problems, and we might be able to get better maybe for the next generation.
Oh man, I hope so. I suppose I'll end with this. What values would you like to see elevated in our society for people to flourish?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, like a theme that we've discussed, treating people as individuals always goes a long way. Listening. So when you meet someone, don't see them as a representative of some group. Actually listen to what they say and get to know them as people and get to know their history. So much of who we are is shaped by what we've been through in the past. And so like getting to know people's stories is important. I think appreciating good art is something that our culture, we're still producing good art, but it'd be great if we produced more. And so that if we focus more on just appreciating art as art, not focusing on what the political message of a film is or a book or so on and so forth. If we can just appreciate the aesthetic qualities or the, what goes into producing good works, and also just having more fun.
I totally agree. And I would also add to that, something I've been working on in the last year is being aware of my natural inclinations.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're tribal. Being aware of that. That I naturally want to us and them. It's natural.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, self-awareness is hugely underrated. Yeah. But it's definitely a skill, and we could all, I could develop more self-awareness, that's for sure.